Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and today, it's a beautiful summer's day, I'm reviewing a book from Oxford University Press. It's a very hot day, so you can see I'm a little bit warm. The book is called International Development Law. It's an important area of law. This is a very detailed book. It's not for beginners. I found it very complex, quite difficult to read in places, but all the same, it's an important book because it comes from the Max Planck Encyclopedia of Public International Law. So we're dealing with a very substantial international legal subject. It's been edited by a number of people: Petra Minnerop, Rudiger, Wolfrum and Frauke, Lachenmann. There are obviously a lot of people involved in this work, which I shall show in a minute. This is only a short review, but I wanted to do this particular book, A, because it's an important book, and B, it's one that I think many people will probably know a little bit about, but it's actually quite a difficult book to get into. It's been published under the auspices of the Max Planck Foundation for International Peace and the Rule of Law. And as I say, it comes to you from Oxford University Press. I've given the title of this book, a heavy book in all senses of the word, dealing with a very difficult series of jurisprudential concepts. Let's have a look at the book first of all. It's a very heavy book, as I say. There it is. See, there's the front, hardback. Then there's the spine. There's nothing on the back at all. If I open it up at the back, you can see that there is, at the back of the book, no index. So what you've got is a whole collection of different articles, and they're all structured in different ways. There's numbering, which can be quite useful in trying to find things with each of the particular chapters. There are no proper footnotes. There's the front page. And you can see the main people involved, the blurb from OUP, and then you've got again the direction, the actual direction of the book has come from Rudiger or Wolfrum. Then you've got the advisory board, the people who make up the advisory board, who brought this together. As I say, it's an important book. Then there's a very short foreword from the three editors, which basically doesn't say a great deal. It's basically trying to make the subject matter more accessible to the specialised reader, and this volume covers the ever-growing area of the law of development. Then you've got the content section, and this is where I want to show the book, because showing the book is more important probably than much of the review. You can see the structure. You've got the name of the original article, and then you've got the person who's written it, and it's done in alphabetical order basically. So you run through, you can see, depending on what you're looking for, there's a huge amount of information. As I say, it's all alphabetical. You can just see, as I say, the book is very heavy indeed. There we go, it's 1,000 odd pages. There's the final part, the end. It ends with World Food Programme. You've got a very useful abbreviations section. I do think the abbreviations are very helpful, because this is an area of law where there is so much in the way of abbreviations that it's going to be very difficult sometimes to wonder what they're talking about, putting it bluntly. That's why the abbreviations are so important. Nothing to be ashamed of in not knowing what an abbreviation stands for either. I don't know, and that's why we have the white book, the red book and all the other books, because no one can be expected to understand everything. But you do have all the usual suspects here. The UN in particular is well represented. And then right at the back you've got a note to reader, and it tells you basically the authors speak in their personal capacities only, and any views they express or information they provide cannot be attributed to the institutions they come from, which is reasonable. Then you see the structure, and it's logical basically throughout. There's an introduction and it's numbered. And in fact, I find that quite easy, because what you've really got here is you've got the paragraph numbering, but done in a slightly different way. But of course, the index at the back, which we should have, we don't have. So there basically is no way that you are going to cross-refer. I think that, if anything, is one of the only weaknesses of this book, because I do think an index is actually quite important with any of these substantial works. But I'm not here to criticise, because, as I've said on many occasions, we don't review books that we don't like. We only review books which we think are worth of further investigation and will be of benefit to both practitioners and academics alike. And that's really what Oxford University do, and they provide us with a first-class service, and I'm very grateful to them for that. What do we say anyway in general? This is a short review, this one. The editors, Petra Minnerop, Rudiger, Wolfrum and Frauke, Lachenmann, bring together articles on international development law coming from the Max Planck Encyclopedia of Public International Law. Many will know of the Max Planck Foundation, and you'll know the work that they do. And of course this is one of quite a large number of publications which we have reviewed over the years. It's the definitive reference work on international law, and we think it provides a massive amount of detailed information which will be a valuable resource for scholars, students and practitioners in international development law, which has come very much to the fore in recent years, because there is that continuing suggestion that the actual policy of developing international development law and expanding it, balancing it against military threats and all the other problems that one has, leads to a much more peaceful outcome. And that's one of the aims, of course, that's coming out of this, because what we're getting is an accessible, thorough overview of all aspects of the field of international development law. And of course I'm recording this at a time of very substantial change within the United Kingdom, as Britain prepares again to leave the European Union. We don't know where we are, and we don't know what effects that will have in terms of our commitment within the continent of Europe, and of course much wider in terms of international and world global policy. Now each article, as I say, is run in an alphabetic order, contains cross-references to related articles. It includes a carefully selected bibliography of the most important writings and primary materials as a guide to further reading. That, again, as a resource, will be extremely helpful, I think, to those academics who wish to explore the matter further. Let me conclude by saying the encyclopedia can be used by a wide range of readers. Experienced scholars and practitioners will find, we think, a wealth of information on areas that they don't really know that well, as well, of course, as getting an in-depth treatment from these learned persons on every aspect of the specialist topics. And there's a wide range. You just have to look at the index to see what a wide range you've got. Articles, of course, can be set as readings for students on the courses that are run at various colleges and universities. The hardback book was first published on the 11th of June 2019. As I say, I'm recording this in the middle of 2019, a month after. Let's just go into it. You can see here the middle of the book. This is actually an article on, let me just see what it is, because one of the things is development of international law, in fact. I'm just going to get to the beginning of it so we can see, there we go, development of international law. We don't have, what we do have, one of the disconcerting things about this is when you end one article, there isn't a blank page. It goes straight into the next article. So because it's an A to Z, you can see that the logic of that. But what you do have is a general little, very short summary of what you've got in the individual article, and then it sort of leads into it. But there are no footnotes. But what you do have is a selected bibliography, excuse me, on each article at the back of the article. Altogether, I'd like to thank everybody who's been involved in the production of this work. It's a first-class book, and thank you to all for producing such a, I think, monumental work of reference, which will be helpful to everybody involved with international development law. Thank you. Bye-bye.